Welcome, everybody, to the Genesis Mindset. We've got another live stream here for you today. And today, by popular demand, is Criptocharla, Maddie. So, Maddie is someone who've had on this show with the Atropa movement videos, and people really loved his perspective, myself included. So, Maddie's from KSB TV. He's just finished the tour, the PulseChain tour in Europe, and he sat down and had a conversation with Maria. And so I want to dig a little bit deeper into that. And I think other people wanted me to dig a little bit deeper into that. So we're going to dig into that. We're going to also discuss a little bit more about affection. We're going to discuss a little bit more about dysnomia. And we're going to try and uncover a few little new things that we've been noticing within the Atropa ecosystem and PulseChain at large. So with that, let's bring Maddie up on stage. Hey, Maddie, how's it going?
How you guys doing? Nice to be here.
Man, how are you?
Great. It's good to be back where I'm home. I enjoyed Europe heavily. It was great to be at the PulseChain tour, but it's also nice to be home always, especially if you live in a place you actually enjoy.
Yeah, man. Like your background's a bit different to the last time we spoke. It's probably the same background, but it's nighttime now, so I can hear all the crickets. It just sounds lovely.
Yeah, it's quite heavy cricket noises tonight. Less birds, more crickets, but different ambience. And you can see it's quite heavily dark because there's no other houses behind me. Sorry. There is no other building, so it's pretty much pitch black.
Yeah, wow. I love it, man. Yeah, well, maybe when we last spoke, it must have been a lot earlier. I thought it was around this time that we spoke, but actually now that I reflect, I think it was about 3.5 hours ago at the time. So that was probably why it was like a bit more light for you. So, well, cool, man. Thank you for joining, back by popular demand. So like I said in the introduction, there's been quite a few people that have been expressing interest in hearing your perspective. And even myself, like as I've mentioned to you privately, like when I listen back on some of the streams that we've had, it's always a bit hard for me to kind of interact with the audience, manage the screen, listen to what everybody's saying, kind of manage all those different dynamics. But when I listened back, I was like, man, Maddie's saying some like awesome things. So I think other people are really resonating with your perspective as well, man. So yeah, kudos to you. So
thanks, brother. Thanks for the kind words. Just trying my best to give my understanding and my perspective on these things. Not saying I'm the wise one here that knows everything, but try my best to at least get updated with what's happening, which is pretty tough. But as much as you know, there's quite some.
It is, man. It is. It never feels like it never feels like you can stay ahead of the game. Like you've also done hundreds of hours of research on the Atropa ecosystem, myself included, and it still feels like I know nothing. It still feels like, oh my gosh, there's always people that know more than me, and like I just feel like I can't get ahead. And managing everything else in life as well, managing several businesses, it's like, wow, it's really hard to like keep up with everything. So
same here. But obviously, I'm always down to talk about these things and, yeah, answer questions as well. I'm not trying to hide anything from what I know, as much as I don't know everything neither. And as much as I talk quite a lot to Maria, I might have not all the answers that people want to have right now. But as much as I can answer, I will, definitely, for sure. And you sent me something very interesting these days about the neural network. So I guess going to be something we talk about today too, to pick that up. And yeah, man, exciting to be here. Different time.
So why don't we start with that, actually? Yes, let's start with the neural network. So first of all, just want to say a quick hello. I don't know if Crypto Elliot is in here or if he sent this message earlier and he's in bed now. Sorry, Crypto Elliot. Clintrons, as always, thanks, man. Thanks for being here. Thanks for your support. Patton, what's up, brother? Let's go for that affection, baby. Yes, man, let's do it. So what I've been discussing with Maddie is, I don't know if anyone has seen the new video with Rig Services, so Pulse Trends, and he's basically released a video. He's just gone absolutely balls deep into the research, and he's basically come to this point of realization that everything on PulseChain is like this neural network. So he was describing Hex and T-shares as like this neural network. And even as I've looked at the way that everything is set up with the Atropa ecosystem, and you were talking about it on the last stream as a mycelium network, and you were saying Maria was talking about it as a mycelium network. Is that correct?
No, he just talked about organic growth, which I mean, organic growth in that sense doesn't really define what he meant with that. Like, I just meant I took the mycelium from like the most logical thing that I could think about that kind of expands into a neuron-like structure, very similar to how a brain functions. That's how mycelium functions, electromagnetic signals that go through synapses into different neurons and create a different signal. So yeah, a very similar idea, but I thought that would be very. He never mentioned the specific like how he would call it. He just said like to create organic growth by itself that keeps on growing. So yeah, you could also just say that these two, a mycelium and a neural network, are pretty much based on the same ideas, which is something we should look into because Rick had the idea to compare the whole chain with it and the whole body and mind, like as a simulation kind of like. So it's like simulated on the blockchain, working similar to how a brain works with an organism attached to it, which is very interesting that there are several people sharing these ideas. And Rick was talking about the whole PulseChain, while Maria obviously is talking about Atropa, or rather, so to say, Dysnomia, if it's about the organic growth. We haven't seen that much of it yet. I guess that's something that a lot of people are anxious about, is like, how is Dysnomia going to work out? How is what's going to be attached to it? How is it going to work with the burn buy-ins? And I guess like that's kind of the complicated thing, that we're still in a construction phase. It's not like with Atropa that there's a build system, but it's ongoingly being built. So I feel like
Oh, have I rugged or has Maddie rugged?
uh,
So we just got some technical difficulties here. I don't know if it's me or Maddie who's lagging. Can anyone in the chat confirm?
let's look into the idea of comparing neural.
Ah. Okay, so Maddie's just lagging at the moment. So what I'll do is I'm just going to play this little video while Maddie's connection gets more stable. Oh, here we go. What's going on here? He's rugged and now he's come back on stage. Maddie, welcome back.
Yeah, sorry for the internet connection. I don't know what's going on.
That's okay. Yeah. Well, let's share this video while your internet connection stabilizes. But yeah, just to add to at least the first part of what you were saying, you came to the conclusion of mycelium, and Riggs has come to this idea of this neural network, and also, you know, we spoke about affection with this hidden dysnomia, with this hidden layer. And so when I started looking into the concept of a neural network, the way that it works is like it has this hidden layer. That's the way the brain functions. So this video you sent was really cool. So I'm going to just play like the first couple of minutes of this video that people can actually start to wrap their head around. So, and hopefully it's not too laggy, but look how cool this is. So Oh, no audio.
I
Damn,
was
you
wondering.
guys can't hear the audio, or the video has no sound. Oh, that's a shame. I must have not shared it with the sound. Just give me a second. How do I share it with the sound? So stop screen, share screen. Maybe I had to press the button for sound. Also share the audio. Okay, here we go. I'll start that again. My apologies. And also, as you watch this as well, like one of the interesting things that I've been learning about AI with things like stable diffusion, it's actually a process of deduction. So you think it's creating something, but what it's doing is it's starting from something like this and it's removing things to create an image, which I thought was really interesting. So then when I watched this video, it was like, oh wow, okay, so AI and neural networks is working a bit differently to what I originally thought.
You are currently watching a neural network learn. About a year ago, I made a video about how neural networks can learn almost anything, and this is because they are universal function approximators. Why is that so important? Well, you might as well ask why functions are important. They are important because
functions describe the world. Everything is described by functions.
That's right. Functions describe
the sound of my voice on your eardrum, function. The light that's kind of hitting your eyeballs right now, function. Different classes in mathematics, different areas in mathematics study different kinds of function. High school math studies second degree one variable polynomials. Calculus studies smooth one variable functions. And it goes on and on. Functions describe the world.
Yes, correct. Thanks, Thomas. He gets a little excited. But he's right. The world can fundamentally be described with numbers and relationships between numbers. We call those relationships functions, and with functions, we can understand, model, and predict the world around us.
Okay, so I'm just going to leave that there because it's obviously like a long video, but definitely worth watching. But what I found very interesting about this is this idea of functions and how a neural network is just all these functions. And then you look at what the Atropa ecosystem is doing, and now what we've got started with affection. There's a network of all these different functions of tokens, first that we discovered with Atropa. Now, with Dysnomia, we're starting to see random number generators. We're seeing the mint functions that are starting to happen with affection. We're seeing all these different kinds of functions being coded on the blockchain. And then also we've got everything else on PulseChain. So it's like, oh, this concept of a neural network as what PulseChain is very, very interesting. And I just wonder if this is the meta, if this is what it was all about all along. What was your initial feelings towards what was happening with the neural network concept from Riggs and with what you've seen with Atropa and PulseChain, Maddie?
I think it makes all sense completely for me. Like in the idea that Maria was describing, that Dysnomia is going to be something that people can build on, pretty much anything. Now it seems like I'm understanding way more what he's meaning with that, like with the anything, because literally, if the random function, what is the randomness that we are talking about, no? Mm-hmm. The random number generator, the RNG, is built into Dysnomia, into math, into Dreidel. Then this is just like, so to say, a platform that people can create anything on. No? So like what that means in the end is more kind of a speculation. He was talking originally about a mud game. When I asked him about it, he said any kind of game. So literally, from what I understand, you can just simulate anything on it. So that's kind of the idea with like a neural network. You can just train a neural network to simulate you different kind of whatever kind of. Also research. Rick was talking about heavily was research, like using it for simulating all kind of models and then using them for development of technology. Medical technology, he was saying, comparing it to a brain, like how to cure Alzheimer, we're simulating it on blockchain. He was getting all super excited about it. I don't know how that will go, but like the first things I understand is pretty much just right now a basic attack platform where there's gonna be obviously tokens created towards it with LPs. He also was saying, Maria, yesterday in the IRC chat, that he would really like to see people would do LPs with affection, that they would create more LPs with affection, and that he would like to see some kind of penalty for people that just mint it and then dump it. So his idea is that Maria said that on the IRC. So he doesn't want to mint it to dump it, but he wants rather people to use it to create LPs with.
So when was Maria said this, just today or very recently?
Yesterday.
Oh, wow. Okay, creating LPs and not dumping it. Interesting. Okay, interesting. That's something. Okay, so before we just get into that, one thing that I wanted to mention about dysnomia as well, it's a language disorder. So people with dysnomia have difficulties with remembering words, names, numbers, and other information from memory. So if we talk about a neural network, we're looking at dysnomia and this idea of like memory, this idea of brain function. And one of the first things that I thought about with dysnomia is this kind of like yin and yang effect. So it's almost like Atropa is getting all this data, and then dysnomia is like forgetting it all and starting the process again. And it's this like continuously renewing process of like this feedback loop between the two of them. So I thought that was very interesting. So did you have any thoughts about that? Have you ever thought about anything like that with dysnomia? Because all the names are very deliberate that Maria chooses. That's one thing that I've noticed.
I feel like that's like something that is always like there's a cryptic meaning behind this, no? In the sense of like, what does he mean with a language disorder? Like, does he talk about code as a language? Or what is a disorder that we're trying to express here? Like, if I would have to guess what he's like trying to say with language disorder, that what he's creating is gonna change the order of how finance works. If I would have to guess. Like, he never explained the meaning of dysnomia. In that case, I'll be honest with you, that's a tricky one. Like, what his intentions are. Atropa already honestly took forever for me to really understand what he meant with Atropa. Like, before he told me that it's not the plant, I was 100% sure it was just the plant that he's using as a inspiration for the name. So now with dysnomia, I can't tell you that I figured out the meaning yet. In that sense, like, why would he choose that? But I guess he would answer if we just ask him. And have to ask him in the IRC chat.
True. Okay. And yeah, just to clarify, apparently it was Surfacing who said what you were mentioning about creating LPs with affection, not Maria. So just to clarify that. So anyway, let's dig into a little bit more of affection. So I had some of these questions that I wanted to ask you, which Kisms was asking, and I thought these were all really good questions. So let's dig into some of these questions, digging a little bit deeper into the conversation that you had with Maria in particular about affection. And so he was saying, is there any reason why nobody, including Maddie, touched on affection, which may be Atropa V2? So we did very briefly touch on it. I guess the alpha in affection is that it's still really new. So people are still trying to learn it and still trying to understand it. So there is a Telegram group that started to form. So if anyone does want that, the link is in the description of this video. Can they address it in the follow-up? Didn't get much alpha. Example, timing of peg, obstacles to failure, how the case impacts James's feelings about parity. Okay, so let's go into that just for a little bit first. And maybe this is not necessarily about affection, but did Maria mention anything that you can recall about the obstacles that would affect the pegging of PDI and how the case affects the pegging of PDI that you can recall that might not have necessarily been clearly explained on video or that people might have missed?
First, the case. He never mentioned the case in anything that he was talking about. The only thing that I told him that was not on camera is that, like, if he has nothing to do with Richard, and I know that it would be not a good idea that if he does to say yes to it because there's a legal case going on.
Oh,
I have no problem, and I don't know because I.
Sounds like Maddie is getting rugged again.
Like it was pretty clear that people asked him this question.
Sorry, Maddie. Your connection's gone a little flat again. Are you able to repeat any of that? Oh, here we go. He's back. You got rugged again, Maddie.
I got rocked. I got rocked by the internet again. I hope it's not happening every 5 minutes. And yeah, sorry about I got that wrong. I was pretty sure it was Maria that said that with the LP, but then I was wrong. And obviously not trying to say stuff that's not true, but just remember it well. We were talking about the law case. No, he did not mention anything about the court case because until right now he's also not mentioning that he has anything to do with Richard. So no, there is not any mentioning of the court case and that it would be an obstacle for the pegging not to work. He kind of mentioned one time that if the P stables wouldn't peg, that a Teddy would still work and that would make Atropa work. So he put out, and that was on camera, he put out the kind of like rare possibility that there would not be a peg. But having said that, he instantly afterwards said that they're going to peg anyway. So he's very confident about the pegging. Now, time-wise, I don't know if I should believe in predictions that people want, like on the date. Like, so they say that the pegging is going to be on November 14th or, let's say, October 30th or something. Like, I feel like that's a little taking it too far. Like, there is still, for me, a shadow of a doubt that this might take longer than people think into next year, or that we don't know. I try to be positive, but I also don't try to make people too bullish, so they have like crazy expectations and then they get angry because it doesn't work. In the sense of, like, I would take it with patience. Maria always was saying it's already in work. I was asking him about time, and he said, I asked him, does it take a decade, 5 years until this is working? And he's like, no, it's already working, and it's gonna be quicker than people think. But I would be lying if I would say I would know the exact timing where the pegging will happen. And I'm not trying to be nailed on the dates. What are you thinking, Stephen, about the dates in that sense of the possible pegging?
I'm pretty much feeling exactly the same as you. I definitely don't want to give any dates. I definitely do want to have a look at potentials based on the momentum of the markets with the bull market. I would definitely love to look at that. So obviously, you know, if you're looking at something like this, for example, the price went up really fast because there wasn't a lot of liquidity in it. And then obviously a lot more people found out about it. The price started to steadily grow, but PulseChain wasn't in a bull market. I mean, okay, it was kind of in a bull market. We're sort of, some people say we started the bull market. Crypto Kings are saying we've been in a bull market for a while, and I do agree with that sentiment, but we haven't been in like a parabolic run. So, you know, if you look at all of the crypto market, we're going to have to get something like this where we get that parabolic run. So in that case, yeah, I could see it end up doing something like this eventually if our parabolic run aligns with the parabolic run of the wider market. I could see, yeah, it can do these kinds of numbers. And Moon King was saying fall of this, of whatever year that is going, like the Q3 I think is fall for America. So that's going to be, that would be 2025. Did he say? Yeah, he said Q3. So that's 2025, which is our autumn. So, I mean, that's April next year. But I think I've also heard him say November. So there's a bit of confusion there. But look, at the end of the day, when it does, I mean, does it? I think everyone's impatient for the gains. But yeah, I'm not really too concerned about that necessarily. I'd really rather it stay low and I can drip whatever small amounts of liquidity that I have into accumulating more. That's my mindset. My mindset is more long term. So, okay, let's dip into affection now. So I just wanted to cover that question. Good. Just to kind of dig in, Maria didn't mention anything about that. Maria dropped a little hint about July 2025. Oh, okay, IDK. If you can elaborate on that, let me know, and we can dig into that a little bit. And also, if anyone has any questions about Atropa, about affection, things that they want to know, let us know. We'll do our best to try and cover. So let's go into affection. So yeah, you did have a discussion, and your discussion with Maria about affection was all there. This has been my little depiction of how I perceive affection working at the moment. So actually what I need to do as well, I'm just going to bring up the block explorer once again and just get the affection contract address ready to go so we can talk about this. So at the moment, obviously it's being minted out to 1 billion. And so while I bring all this up, what was Maria telling you first? And because I remember Maria kind of explaining it like this kind of effect to you. How was Maria explaining to you, and can you put it in simple terms for everyone to understand?
Yeah, I was asking about Dysnomia being a layer 2, no? That was the basic question. He said, yes, it's kind of like a layer 2 that processes information more efficiently to, so to say, to have more block space and be able to run more nodes. And that there would be a system of tokens that connect with each other, communicate with each other with burned buy-ins, starting from, he didn't mention the word affection, but from Dysnomia, meaning affection. And that there would be like liquidities created that are not there yet. And that will be the starting, the kickoff point. And then there will be several outreaches, like you are kind of like simulating them or drawing them, that then kind of create into other outreaches. So it becomes like fractal. You know what I'm saying? Like it multiplies itself like fractally. So it will become like a that's why neural net or mycelium, like the idea of having like a net of tokens that then between each other, that's what you're saying, would create like momentum and organic growth.
Okay, so as I just showed here as well, 24 million supply. So I'm constantly tracking this because 1 billion supply is what we're going to get to. So at the moment, 24 million. So I'm just tracking this as we go and watching the price. And so now, like, yeah, just seeing how it's continuously changing and moving. So I'm just going to copy and paste this here. So we're not even 10% of the way to the 1 billion. But the way that I've looked at it and the way that I've tried to like conceptually depict it is, let's say the total supply here was at 1 million, then it grows up to 100 million, then it grows up to 1,000 million, which is 1 billion. And then along the way, it's getting connected to all these different tokens within Dysnomia. And then as that's happening, as people are then selling affection into any of these tokens within Dysnomia, that supply is being burnt. So then the supply is being reduced, and then it's being reduced. So as that happens, it's going to create this. At the moment, the price is going to keep going down perhaps, and then eventually it's going to start to go up as the supply starts to get limited. And so this is one of the really unique things about what's happening with affection that is, to the best of our knowledge, there's really nothing that's been like it in crypto, right?
Not that I know of. That's why it's also hard to get a grasp of how the tokenomics are going to work out in the end. I guess something that that's why it's a dynamic system, no? So it's good. It's very interesting how quick the supply is going to get like lowered, and also how much interest. So how many people are going to market buy it once it's all minted. Obviously, you need kind of a buy pressure into it, so that like the whole system gets like captures value. And from what I understand, it's not even going to be that easy to extract value out of this. Also, which makes sense that it sounds like what we were talking about, the universal income, like with the easy, so to say, with a front end app usable, that would make completely sense. That it's like you hold tokens, but you can make passive income with it, clicking stuff, interacting with it, gaming, whatever it's going to be in the end, that creates an interaction with this system. Because in the end, it's one of these bubbles might be in the end a game. The other one might be a on-chain Twitter, or you know what I'm trying to say? Like it's going to be bubbles that also represent technology, not just necessarily just a token. Because it's all going to be based on the random number generators, like the possibilities that come with that. So yeah, that's as far as my understanding goes of what's the principles behind it. The tokenomics are interesting because I feel like it is gonna go pretty much without any there's not anything that I could get as an argument against it that there's gonna be scarcity. It's completely deflationary once it's minted out.
Right. Yeah, exactly. So now there's all these different kinds of strategies for actually accumulating it now. So, for example, it depends if the price keeps going down, but one of the ways that I've been accumulating more is just creating a liquidity pool between affection and pulse. So as the price goes down, you're getting more affection because it's swapping the affection out. It's swapping the pulse chain into affection as the pools are getting lower and lower. So that's definitely one strategy. The other way now is through minting that people are really wanting to learn about. So if you do want to learn about that, you can go to the Telegram and start learning about it. And a lot of people have been asking for a video. I did say I was going to do a video, and I feel pretty bad that I haven't been able to do a video yet, but I've been extremely busy working on a lot of different things. But just to kind of side pivot for a second, just for everyone, it's so easy to do this. Like I was able to do it in like Not Helios. Shout out to Not Helios, because this is pretty much like the best instructions in any cryptocurrency that I've ever followed. It was so simple to follow. You literally just like you know when you follow instructions and it's like, oh, there's something that wasn't quite right, and it kind of messes everything up. Like there's nothing in this set of instructions that wasn't just perfect. So literally all you have to do is follow this from here. Bots and scripts, just follow it step by step. And if you just follow it step by step, I was able to put it together in like, I don't know, 15 minutes to half an hour just by following the instructions. But I will end up doing because some people also like to see it. They find it easier to actually follow just by seeing it. So yes, I will end up getting a video there. So oops. Okay, so yes, exactly, serendipity. And just to answer, so yes, it was extremely easy. I don't know if you can see my video, by the way, Maddie, but for some reason it looks like something's gone whack with my webcam. So
I just see a background screen for now, but I can hear you clearly.
Okay, that's good, as long as you can hear me. So just to go back on this as well, so Maria told us, so this was RDK who basically said earlier that Maria dropped a little hint about July 2025. So this was for the P stables, and Maria told us that if we peg in 2 years, so that means 100% success. He said about a month ago that a really good case scenario we could see is $1 by July 2025. I could see that as well. I could see this all happening with the bull market. I can see all of this happening with a parabolic run, that we can actually hit that dollar and get to that dollar mark. I don't know what's going to peg it, the mechanisms that are going to peg it, but I can actually see that. So thanks for clarifying that, RDK. So Maria said July 2025 is a really good case scenario to get to $1, which makes a lot of sense if everything flows into PulseChain like we're really hoping it does. So okay, so a little bit more on affection. So how much do you know about like the pools at the moment? So I know obviously we got Bladder. Bladder was the one that was connected to it most. So the holders are really increasing. This was I think this was only 300 odd the other day. So the biggest liquidity pool here is with Bladder, and then this one is with PulseChain, and then one of these will be one of these is with Coexist. It's probably falling down the list now because man, it sucks having no money. I tell you what, like I can't get ahead in any of these positions, and everyone's just like, I'm working my ass off and I'm doing all this non-profit stuff, but there's no money. There's no money that comes from it, and it's like it's kind of it's frustrating because I'm trying to at least get a good position on affection, but I can't even do that. So everyone's already starting to like really get ahead in affection as well. So yeah, what's your view on affection in terms of the liquidity pools, in terms of like your approach with it? How are you accumulating it? What's your strategies for it?
Honestly, I just yesterday, for example, market bought some because I thought like it might also still drop quite a bit, but from what I looked at it right now, it's not about bad moments to market buy it. It was pretty damn cheap. But like, I'm also gonna mint more. Honestly, I'll be honest with you, with the Dysnomia system, since I have already realized that it's just starting. I was also not in a super rush. I just came back from Europe to here, and I was about to look into minting it today, and I was like, I'm going to do it tomorrow. You know, I also asked you if you did a tutorial video, because I was like, if nobody did it until right now, it might be not a bad thing to have. Just knowing that people are complaining about the price action, that it has been dropping heavily. I saw that in a comment on Twitter. And it's good that people know, everybody knows that it's mintable, and there's no recommendation to buy it, but to mint it if you want to have it, like if you're trying to have affection. And about the LPs, I feel like there's not that many LPs until right now in comparison to other, let's say, the BFF system or Atropa itself. How many LPs are connected, and especially how much value are in LPs. Still in Dysnomia, very little, in my opinion, at least. What are you thinking about that?
Yeah, I think you're right. I think there isn't a lot of. I mean, there's definitely been more. I've noticed that much. So when I look here, there's definitely more than there was, say, a month ago. People are really starting to pair it up, which is really good to see. So I don't know what this token is. You got PulseChain, you got Load, you got whatever this is. You got Blada, PLSD, BloomX, Co, Heyo, FFOX, VOC, Acela. So Acela's another one that someone was just asking about. Who was asking about that? I think Serendipity was asking about Acela. So actually, there's quite a lot that are starting to get paired up with it, which is cool to see. Which is really cool to see. So yeah, I think there's also, like, you're right, it is early, so there's no rush, but also it's like I feel like Dysnomia is the meta now. Like Atropa is complete. Maria said Atropa is done, and now it's all about Dysnomia. So it's about building out Dysnomia. So we've got this random number generator that's going on. I know Ben Potvin was telling me about Dreidel. There's like a Dreidel game which basically integrates the random number generator, and something to do with like playing the game incorporates a random number generator, which ends up burning the supply. So it creates all these different opportunities for all different kinds of games. Like there's the random number generator. It seems like is going to present all these different kinds of possibilities that are going to happen within Dysnomia. So at the moment, it's really difficult to really kind of get a scope of what's fully going on. Like the information is still very bare. Everyone's still kind of learning. There's not a lot out there. I don't know if you feel the same way.
I feel the same way, and I even talking to Maria himself, he was not like, he was mentioning like completely his game plan of what Dysnomia is going to be. He also, one pretty, perhaps for some people, a pretty intense statement that he made was that he was saying, even if Atropa fails, Dysnomia will prevail. So he's definitely
really?
He said that like that there is an option that that Atropa won't perform as much as Dysnomia. That doesn't mean that Atropa was completely failing, but it's like, even if it's not going that well with Atropa, that Dysnomia might grow quicker than he expects. He expects Atropa to be, so to say, the big onboarder, and then Dysnomia afterwards. But there is a chance that they swap places, and that Dysnomia is going to be the bigger play than Atropa itself, which is hard to say time-wise. And yeah, I don't see that there is that much information out there besides now the Dreidel thing. It's like a lottery game, like a lottery pot, especially based on that, on a random number generator. So It's pure luck. Obviously, if there's not that many people participating, you have a better chance than in a bigger lottery. But the idea is to already, that's like the easiest use case of a random number generator is lottery or like bingo like games. You know what I'm saying? Like just pure probability games where the probability normally is not random, not 100% at least. But that's like the start of it, obviously. Like now it's also, once there is more like a clear platform for people to build on it, I also think there's going to be eventually devs like, I don't know who, but for example, I could suspect that OG Web Chef or Steady Pop or other people are in the space. Sunny, who knows? Tokenomics, whoever comes up with ideas to create on this, because that's going to be something that's going to be very interesting. Is like you said, it's in meta and people can build on it, but it's not, I can't imagine that Maria is going to build everything on it, but it's like said, it's a platform for other people to build on it, but it hasn't happened yet.
Yeah. And this is a great comment by Serendipity. So he's saying Atropa is about burnt liquidity and Dysnomia is about burnt supply. So taking this into account, it makes sense that Dysnomia will have bigger potential for growth price-wise than Atropa. So this is what you were basically talking about that Maria was saying. So that is very, very interesting. And it again, there's trying to understand it conceptually. Like, you know, we've used the neural networks and the nodes, for example. So with the neural networks, it's almost like the nodes is like, there's like this duality of the mind, and the nodes is like the material aspect of it, which is the Atropa ecosystem. And then Dysnomia is the energy that flows through it, or something like this, and the hidden layer. Like when I first looked at this concept of neural networks and I was like, okay, what is this? And that first video that I sent you, and it was like the first thing that he said was like, you know, you've got the nodes and then there's this hidden layer of communication that happens between the nodes. And I was like, whoa, this is exactly what they've been describing with this is what you were saying Maria was describing with Dysnomia, that there was this hidden layer. And that's why I showed you that video straight away. So it's like, somehow if we can start to understand, it's not about the exactitudes, but like conceptually, if you can start to capture what these things mean conceptually, then you might be able to start to front run or predict how this ecosystem is going to build out and position yourself accordingly. That's I think what everyone is really interested in, and that's also what I'm very interested in. Like the people who were the powerhouses, or who are the powerhouses in Atropa, really understood burnt liquidity, and they really started to see all the moves that were being made and were able to like front run all of Maria's moves because they understood the concepts behind it. And so these are the concepts that I'm trying to dig into and I'm trying to learn about and discover. And if we can kind of figure these things out to really get ahead with Dysnomia in a way. I don't know what your feel is around that. I don't know how much you've dug into it, but me, I feel like I'm just scratching the surface.
I feel like that's the whole experience with Atropa has been, and including Dysnomia, that there's never a point where I could feel like I know now 100% how this is going to work out. There's always a shadow of speculation or like of wonder where it's going to lead to. With Dysnomia, I'm not as, let's say, doubtful, because with Atropa, I also have my journey where I had my doubts in the beginning, what was going on, if this was really true and so on, like when it started, no. But with Dysnomia, I got like the feeling that it's more like the tech is there. It's going to be built out. I'm going to personally definitely accumulate it, just because I feel like if I would have done that with Atropa more in the beginning, it would have been very good. I also don't want to dump it. I feel like it's going to be very interesting to LP it into the system. And yeah, to see like to make this grow, because I feel like it's one thing that I'm not personally very happy about, and I think Maria is neither, is the performance of BFF until right now. That is not has reached that floor. Here we go. That's like a little synchronicity right there. Like synchronicity. Yeah, because I feel like it's something that as a community should be achievable, and people have too much like traded the peaks instead of being like a little more patient with gains. So I don't know if it's an educational process right there, but yeah.
And that's also making me think about how to play Dysnomia in terms of the liquidity providing. So even with BFF, the way I look at BFF, if I had all this BFF down here, let's say you had 20 BFF, the objective is not to, in my opinion, the objective is not to wait for it to get to here, then sell some so I can sell one BFF and then I've taken some money out, and then wait for it to get back here and then I can sell again and I've taken some money out. The objective is when it gets to these prices, all of a sudden now you've actually got a liquidity providing position that has a certain value that you can buffet up other parts of the ecosystem or other parts of the Atropa or PulseChain or Dysnomia. And that's how I'm also thinking about Dysnomia. So if I'm thinking about the way that affection works, and affection, as the supply gets squeezed back down as it's getting burnt, let's just say, for example, you've accumulated, I don't know, 10 million or 100 million, and then it gets to a billion and it starts going down and the price starts going up. The objective is, it's like, as it's like anything, right? As hex goes up, the price is going up, but there's only a certain amount of liquidity in the system that can actually come out. And so the objective then with Dysnomia is not about having liquidity that you can take out of the ecosystem, but having the value of the liquidity in the token value that you can actually build upon and create ecosystems around. That's what I feel about BFF. That's what I feel about Dysnomia. So as this starts to squeeze up, it's not like, oh, I've got 100 million of these tokens, I need to sell them all as soon as possible. I've got 100 millions of these tokens, which I can provide in liquidity. The value is going to keep going up, which is going to make my liquidity value continue to go up. And I can build on top of that kind of position. That's how I'm thinking about it. I don't know how, like, that's my feel towards it for now. What's your thoughts around that?
I feel like in any market, there's also going to be sales and there's going to be buys. Like, I'm not like condemning if people sell something or if they put like some, in cases be free, whatever. But it's all about doing it. If you're trying to take, because you said you made with LP already quite some return, as an example, you can just take the surplus. You don't have to take the stash out and like just lower your tokens, but rather live off the LP income. That's the ideal case. I feel like, I mean, depending on how high the value goes. And again, like, I feel like responsible selling is something different than dumping on people, in the sense of like, I don't care if somebody takes 1% or 2% of their huge bag out, as long as it's not like $1 million at once. If not, it's going to be very bad for everybody else. So I mean, like, that's the whole thing for me. I mean, I studied anthropology and sociology, and sometimes the bigger question for me is like, how you create a community that has enough ethics, at least.
Looks like Maddie got rugged again.
Share ethics. So these.
Yo, what's up, Vibra? What's going on, bro? Looks like Maddie got rugged again. No, Maddie. So we'll wait for Maddie to get back up. But I guess just to elaborate on what I was talking about here. So, because one of the things that I'm learning through creating the coexist token is, let's just say all these orange tokens. So when you're creating a liquidity pool with a new token, for example, because
things
I'm
can
trying
actually
to
prevail and work. Like you just said, like the mindset.
Oh, he's in and out. He's in and out. So let me just, here he comes back again. I'll explain this concept in just a minute. That's okay, Maddie. It sounds like you just got rugged. So you were talking about the mindset and building a community is the more important aspect for you.
I mean, that makes
No, you still got some big lag there.
a difference.
Okay, I'll explain this concept while Maddie's connection stabilizes, and hopefully we'll continue with the stream with the conversation. But in the meantime, okay, so let's just say, right, you've got a token that you've created on this side. So coexist is one that I'm experimenting with at the moment, and then on this side, this is where all the actual real liquidity.
If a project is exploitable, and that's
sorry about this, folks. So on this side, this is the Atropa ecosystem. This is PulseChain. This is everything that has value, liquidity in it. Coexist, when you create it, when you create any token, has no value until you pair it with a token. So then let's just say you buy $100 of Atropa, $100 of PDI, $100 of Teddy Bear, and then you pair Coexist in a liquidity pool with all of these. Then all of a sudden, Coexist has $300 of liquidity from real liquidity plus $300 of quote unquote fake liquidity from coexist. So then your liquidity is actually 600, not 300. So you got 100, 100, 100. Then you pair it up. So then it's got 100, 100, 100 on this side. So it's 600 all up. So then if what part of the alpha is to create tokens and build on PulseChain, if you've got an ecosystem like Dysnomia, where you have affection, where you have these tokens that you bought at these prices, and then as the value goes up, the price gets squeezed up, and then really the actual liquidity that you can take out of those tokens is not a lot because of the liquidity in the system, but you'll actually have all this quote unquote liquidity that you can build positions on with other tokens, and you can build liquidity pools that continue to like stabilize and strengthen the network. That to me is where the alpha comes from, having this like squeezing of price value. That's the kind of thinking that I'm having around it. I don't know if that makes any sense. I could be way off the mark there, but these are the things that I'm trying to think about, that I'm trying to learn. So as always, this whole channel is all about learning, and I'm so frustrated lately because I'm just like, man, I feel like such a fucking idiot. I don't understand like some of the most basic concepts. Like whenever Sonny goes, oh, it's just math, I'm just like, bro, what's the math? I don't understand what the math is. But he explains it like it's just math, like it's the most basic, simple thing. And there's something in my brain that's not clicking with some of these most core concepts. So my mind is like too complicated. And literally, I was stewing on these things last night with like the leprosy ecosystem and trying to understand the liquidity with that. I was talking with my friend Muddy. And you know, the alpha was buying, apparently the alpha was buying combat, and I couldn't sleep for like hours because I'm like, how does this actually work? Why? Well, okay, I understand why it was with combat, but can it still be possible with like, you know, Uncle Tom, Jethro, Devitation, Ben Popfin saying it's a waste of time, and I'm just like, man, fuck, like Ben Popfin understands it so well as well. So that's why I really want to try and understand this Dysnomia, because I really want to be like, I want to help be ahead of the game. Grab as well, and Grab's another one. Grab, I mean, you're in Sonny's pub. You know, we're in Sonny's pub, and there's a lot of us who are like, you know, Sonny's just like the god, the LP god, and we're just trying to like, I'm just like trying to hang off his every word and trying to understand, and I'm just like, man, he's like explaining it so well, but I just can't understand it. I need to see it visually. I need to see it visually or something like this. So that's why I also like to describe these things through these visuals, because I feel like this is how my brain connects with it. When I see a picture and the word, that's how my brain connects with it. Just reading the words is like, bro, it's like another language. Maybe I'm dyslexic or something. I don't know. But anyway, massive rant aside, that's how I feel about Dysnomia, because it's not about the real liquidity in it. It's about the value of the tokens as the supply gets burned. So then you're going to have these massive, thick pools that you can create, and then create your own ecosystem around that with all this liquidity. And this is where the building is going to come from. So massive rant aside and side explanation. What were you saying, Maddie, before you got rugged? Sorry.
Good question. I kind of don't remember exactly right now, but I have another one to mention that is pretty interesting that Rick mentioned in the video he sent me today in the space, in the obscure crypto space. He was talking about layer 0 and how to move money between chains without bridges. And I feel like that's something that Richard has been preparing for and is already doing, which is gonna be very interesting, is it's all about communication to break down the whole thing, about information that's being like a signal, like a neural signal that's being passed in the blockchains. And now, if there's a layer 0 that interconnects them behind it, that's even another unseen layer that we don't see. But the whole idea of to perform functions, algorithms, that tokens communicate between each other is not that crazy, actually. It's just having a couple of lines in the code where you connect your token to the function of another token, and then the other token is connected to the other token, so they communicate with each other without being linked by liquidity, just being linked by code. So the possibilities are honestly endless. And so how could anybody get a grasp, exactly our peanut brains, of the math behind it if nobody understands neither the possibility of a random number generator? I feel like sometimes it's also like mind-boggling to what Sunny did with LP. Yeah, I mean, he's just the master in it. And I'll be honest, I'm not like nearly close to the level of LP providing that he's at. But it's been fun to learn. And I feel like Atropa is heavily about LP. So without understanding LP, you don't understand Atropa. But then it's a deep rabbit hole. So don't get frustrated on the way. I feel you, Stephen. Never stop learning.
That's it, man. Yeah, I think it's more just like, I just hate not understanding things, and I hate feeling stupid, and it just frustrates me when it seems like other people have such a strong, simple grasp on it, and I just can't seem to wrap my head around certain concepts of it. So that's also why I've created Coexist, so I can really, I'm watching what it's doing as I do different things within it and as I experiment with it. And can I create this thing like the way that I'm thinking about like Coexist now, for example, instead of like it's not about, okay, well, I have my PulseChain and I trade my PulseChain and try and grow my PulseChain stack by trading it into this token and that token and building it that way. What if I actually create like a network of liquidity tokens plugged into the Atropa ecosystem, and then the token that you create is your version of PulseChain, and that's the thing that you're trading up and down. And then if you have like arbitrage tax connected to that, as you're trading it up, as you're trading it down, you're also getting a cut of the tax as well. That's happening through all the different arbitrage pools. So for me, it's like, maybe that's what it's about. And then again, I think about something like Dysnomia. Okay, if I have a lot of affection now, and then all of a sudden in the future, affection through the squeeze of the supply ends up going like through the roof, that also makes the value of the token that I've created go through the roof. This is the thing that that's part of the meta. But it's just like when Sunny's like, it's simple math, I'm like, bro, I don't think there's anyone that's like, yeah, I get the simple math. I mean, if they're out there, like, please come on stream and explain the simple math to me. So I just want to play this because you're talking about the zero layer and the hidden that hidden layer again. And this is the video that I shared with you. So I'm just going to play this for just like a minute or two because this is what started to connect some dots with me. And again, think about this from the perspective of Atropa and these. I mean, look at these little nodes, and it's like, okay, these are little liquidity pools, and then the strings that connect them is, those two things are a liquidity pool. They're tokens rather, and these are liquidity pools. And then Riggs was talking about a zero layer where it's gasless. I mean, if decentralized finance is truly going to work, it would have to be like gasless. It can't be like Ethereum where it's going to cost like hundreds of dollars to do a transaction or a trade. It can't be like that. So let's just have a listen to this just very quickly. Oh, Maddie got rugged again.
Here are 5 things to know about neural networks in
1 second. I'll just maximize it.
In under 5 minutes. Number 1, a neural network.
Maybe it's my connection that's lagging.
Are composed of node layers. There is an input node layer, there is a hidden layer, and there is an output layer.
So as soon as I saw that input layer, we've got tokens. This hidden layer, we're talking about this hidden layer with Dysnomia, and then the output layer. Yeah, let's just keep hearing what he has to say.
And these neural networks reflect the behavior of...
Oh, I'm getting lag. Okay, I'll tell you what. I apologize. What I'm going to do is I'm not going to play that whole thing because it looks like I'm
the
getting
human
lag.
brain, allowing...
I'm just going to leave the link in the description. So if anyone wants to go check that out, and we might actually start wrapping this stream up because we're getting lag on every front here. So here's Maddie again. Maddie, it really looks like it's not meant to be today. I'm getting lag as well. I've disappeared. Shit's just not going right, man.
Yeah, some people or something is trying to stop us from spreading the truth. No, I'm just bullshitting. I don't know what's happening. I restarted the router now. I hope that did the trick, but yeah, today a horrible internet connection. All day was fine. Right now it's not. Anyway, I feel like we have been both honest. We're really into this for the long term. I'm into this for the philosophy behind it, for the ethics behind it, for the mindset that we're all sharing. I'm not trying to say something that I'm not knowing, and I don't know the game plan for Dysnomia yet, like when what is going to come into place. I just feel like I'm trying to get updated as much as I can, and I hope that there's going to be also price-wise, not talking about affection right now, but like generally, again, for people that they're a little bit more positive. I feel like it's been a little bit rough for everybody who's on PulseChain, that things have been slow besides the Atropa and Teddy Bear and a couple of others that have good gains. It's been a rough ride for most people, and I'm just being part of the positivity. Much love to everybody. Thanks for having me, Stephen. And yeah, hopefully next time we got a little bit more exciting news than being like, look, this is how we understand it, and that's about it.
Yeah, I probably am in agreement with you there, Maddie. And I think, part of what this was about as well was really trying to put our brains together and start to figure things out. I think no one's really got a handle of this, but through these conversations, through these discussions, just like through the Age of Enlightenment, it's all about coming together in the coffee shops and talking, and somehow someone is going to trigger something in someone's mind, and then the ideas will start to proliferate, because it's like we're really now in the early stages of the discovery for what's happening with Dysnomia. So I always love having you on, Maddie. I always enjoy our conversations. I love our DMs as well. It's really a pleasure to know you, man. And as we mentioned in the DM, I really do. I mean, one day we'll meet each other. One day, whether it's these physical bodies or in heaven, whatever that's going to be, we'll meet each other one day. So, a pleasure to have you on. Unfortunate about the internet connection today. I do apologize to everyone about that. And yes, some really good supporters on here today. So hello and thank you everybody for your support today and for your comments. If there's any questions that you want to ask quickly before we close things up, please ask away. Otherwise, Maddie, thank you very much. Thank you for persisting. Thanks for resetting your router.
Hey, I tried my best, and again, the same here, brother. It's been a pleasure. Always pleasure talking to you. If it's not going to be Mad Max soon, then I feel like yes, we're going to see us in real life. And if not, wish you the best one out there.
That's it, man. If it's not going to be Mad Max. So yeah, we should start closing like this. Let's make this shit go viral as well. Thanks guys. Lots of affection for all. Let's keep having the affection for each other. So that's I think, I think all the words that Maria uses, there's like, it's very deliberate. It's very deliberate, like independence and stay of proceedings. They're deliberately chosen words. Dysnomia is about it's a memory disorder. So it's not necessarily about. Sometimes it's almost like it's about specifically what the word is actually literally saying. Sometimes it's about what the kind of meta meaning of the word is. So yeah, let's keep going with the affection, fam. So. Getting a lot of love from everyone here. So thanks a lot, everybody. Thanks a lot, Maddie.
Thank you, brother. Have a good one. Yeah.
Take
Catch
care, everybody.